Pandemic has been a pain for tens of millions of Americans, and I mean that literally. Chronic pain is on the rise. We'll tell you why next on The Jeff Crilley Show.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, the pandemic hit, and what did we do? Lots of us started hitting the bottle. We're eating comfort food. We're not exercising. We're doing all the things that can ruin an immune system, and it can also lead to chronic pain. To talk about that right now, Dr. Chad Stevens. He is with Noble Pain and Sports Medicine. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Jeff. I appreciate you having me.
It does seem ironic. I mean, here we are in the pandemic in which you're really wanting to fortify your body, and yet we're just destroying it, aren't we?
Yeah, so it took a toll on a lot of people because a lot of people have regular workout habits and they have, a routine they're used to, and that routine went out the window. They got online, they tried to find weight equipment and gym equipment, not available, right? So they went from their regular routine, working out 3, 4, 6 times a week, to none. Their jobs became from their offices in their house or from their couch. So a lot of webinars in a sport coat and shorts yield themselves to the kitchens right down the way. And so eating became a problem. People couldn't get to their doctors because everything went to, webcam and, medicine through TV and through computers, and not everybody could do that, and not everybody could get in with their doctor. So a lot of people started turning to alcohol and other unhealthy behaviors. So, yeah, it really did take a toll.
And chronic pain is related to inflammation, right? And so eating all that junk food and drinking is not doing us any favors.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So and there's a lot of things that go in along with nutrition and healthy eating and keeping, yourself healthy and keep away from the self-defeating behaviors and things like that, all of which become a little bit more predominant when you can't get out and get to restaurants and when you have to cook for yourself. And so it's easier to make a bowl of cereal than it is to make something healthy like chicken or what, So people start to do things that are not their usual habits, and pretty soon they start to put on weight and they don't have their workouts to do. And so pretty soon we have this kind of a cycle happening where my patients especially, found that they were having trouble getting into their doctors. And we immediately flipped to web medicine. I mean, overnight. Literally, we left the office one day seeing patients. The next day we were talking to office manager about who we're going to do this with, and bam, we started seeing patients online. And our patients would try their hardest, and they would get on their phones or get on their MacBooks or whatever else they had. Some of them didn't have a computer. So we had a little trouble seeing some of them. But really, by the end of this pandemic, really about a month of this, we were able to start getting patients in, almost every one of them online. Even our older patients, they would go to their kid's house or whatever else. And it was kind of fun because you could see the dynamics of their household and meet their children and see where they live. And someone would show you a video of the outside of their house. There was some good information that came from this. But Jeff, one of the really cool things that came out of this is the understanding, the realization that we can do a consultation over a phone and over a TV, and we can maybe save people that want to travel in from out of state or something like that from having to come in just for a consultation before they're going to a procedure with us. So that is something I think is here to stay. I think web medicine and telemedicine is going to stay involved in our practice in that way. Obviously, the governor was nice to give us a chance to also prescribe controlled substances for about a month or so for our patients, so they didn't go without. So, Governor Abbott really saved the day there and really, was clutch. And so we're thankful for that. So I think all in all, we've recovered, and now we're getting a little bit more back to what we were used to as far as our practice.
Well, one of the things I know you love to do is educate people. We've got a little clip of you on Channel 8 talking about a different procedure. But tell me you have a heart of a teacher. I know you're not just teaching the public,
Right.
but you're also teaching fellow physicians. Is
Yes,
that right?
sir. Yeah, so I spend a lot of my time on weekends going out of town or even staying in town and teaching fellow physicians and people that are training how to do the latest and greatest, most cutting-edge pain procedures. And the reasons are many, but one of the reasons for that is it gives me a chance to get my touches on these new doctors and help them learn some of the things I've learned since training and since fellowship that I wish I would have known coming in, and kind of the things you slip and fall, and you can tell people how to not do the same thing. And so that's been really rewarding. But also there's this paradigm shift where patients are saying, hey, we want to have treatment without major time off work. And it's kind of a minimally invasive world that has evolved. It started out in cardiology, kind of coming into where cardiothoracic surgery was, and now pain management and sports medicine, which is my field, is kind of merging with the minor surgical fields. And so I think that what's happening is we're giving patients a chance to get better without having as extensive of procedures, and it's working well because the spine surgeons have a great need in our lives, the neurosurgeons, spine surgeons, but there's these patients that were kind of being marginalized that the pain doctors were not treating, and they were getting treated with opiates or they were getting treated with other things that were not as healthy. And so now that we're able to step a little further into that realm, I love getting a chance to get out on the weekends and teach the other doctors about that.
Outstanding. And one of the areas that you specialize in is concussions. I know you work
Right.
with some local high schools. Let's go ahead and roll a tape right now.
Sure.
From lawsuits to Will Smith movies, the football world has been buzzing about concussions. That's why Liberty Christian School in Argyle is taking a proactive approach to detecting head injuries among their players.
Essentially, is a sensor that runs on all major areas of the head.
These helmet inserts detect the G-force of impacts in games and practices and keeps coaches and trainers aware of potential injury issues. Dr. Chad Stevens is on the cutting edge of concussion research.
We're starting to treat it more aggressively, and what I mean by that is getting people back to their life faster.
He says the new method is to treat concussions like impact-induced migraines.
So doing the spinopalatal ganglion block with a spinal cath.
Yeah, what he said. Basically, it involves placing numbing medication in just the right spot by going up the patient's nose.
And by doing that, what happens is it drops the medicine right on top of the nerve complex that is involved in migraine called the spinopalatal ganglion. So it's really revolutionary, but it's really simple. But when we do these treatments on the post-concussion patients, they pretty much immediately have a lot of headache resolution, if not complete, and their dizziness resolves pretty quickly, and they just feel more like themselves.
Dr. Stevens believes this combination of instant detection and fast, effective treatment will help turn football's concussion conversation on its head.
Wow. I think that is so incredible. And I think so many doctors are approaching it the wrong way. I mean, what you discovered, I think, is absolutely revolutionary.
Well, thank you. So that was a device that was already in the market for migraine treatment. But when I saw that and I started talking to the company that produced that, I said, I have all these patients that when they have a concussion, their life slows down. They stay locked in a room for several weeks. They miss dinner. They miss school. They start to fail their classes. And this is like a cascade of effects that happens from the concussion. And I said, what would happen if we were able to treat those symptoms, at least the headache and dizziness, get them back to the dinner table, get them back to the classroom, not necessarily back to the athletic field, Jeff. Soon that would be the plan after going through the proper testing and the proper schools protocols and whatever protocols are put in place by the state, but getting them back to their life to some degree before the failing grades and before they lose their social relationships, before they forget who their parents are. And this has been a product that we've been able to use for that kind of a meaning. And there's been a lot of other patients we've treated for other conditions besides just concussion and migraines and things with this device. And so things like that are very simple. It's hard to get the word out to everybody. That's why I appreciate this time, Jeff, because there's so much I want to tell the world, and there's so much education. There's so many great procedures. We were talking earlier about this new procedure where we can do an interlaminar fusion in about 30 minutes on a patient, called Minuteman. Super cool. That wasn't out there when I came out of my training. Now we're putting a little device inside the vertebral body body and burning the nerves inside the vertebral body with a procedure called Intercept, which that wasn't a part of what we thought of. When we were taught that the problem is the disc and it's not the vertebral body itself, it's a different paradigm and shift in thinking. And we're fusing the SI joints, and we're doing some other procedures we didn't used to do, and stimulating nerves in the legs and the arms that we didn't used to do. And there's so many cool things I want to share with the world, and I don't have all the platforms to do that. So, I try to do that through television. I try to do that through our social media. This last few months, I was blessed to find a company called Moxie out of New Orleans, and they have blown my social media world apart. And what I found is that is the most effective way for me to get my message out, because so many people get onto either Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, and it's been great because I've been able to get some of those educational messages out there. I don't want to call it marketing, because it's really, I'm trying to bring people in the door, but I'm also trying to give people hope and trying to remind them there are options they have that maybe they haven't been exposed to before.
Yes, and the fact that you're helping other physicians. I mean, you're just one person,
right.
But if you're out there, spreading the gospel, we can help many more people.
Right.
We also want to brag about your new office. I know you're proud of it. When did you guys move in?
So it's only been a few months now. So when this new pandemic hit, I was forced with a lot of decisions. Do we furlough our employees? Do we close the office down? Do we, all these different things came up that I was talking to my colleagues around the country for, and I decided to take a different approach. And I've been looking at this office here in South Lake, which I think is a prime location right near Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. And I've been looking at this location for a long time, and I decided to pull the trigger on it because I figured that now is the best time for me to make a change. And so, I wrote on my little board in my room some changes I wanted to make. I wanted to upgrade my office. I wanted to upgrade my appearance. And so you may have noticed, difference in my dress. At this facility, I've decided to upgrade, to more of a sport coat look, and found a Czar's Clothier in South Lake, which has been amazing, and a great friend out of that office that they've just made such a difference in the appearance. But I wanted to do an improvement in the social media world and my web appearance. Mm-hmm. I wanted to improve my physical appearance, and I wanted to improve my office appearance. Jeff, my patients have come to me for so long, and they deserve the best I could find for them. And this is a great location, easy to access, right off of major highways, right by the airport. And so it's really opened up a lot of doors for us to get to do the things I love.
And that camera, that's your camera. And talk to the person who's watching right now who may be experiencing pain and might be nursing it with alcohol or an opioid or something like that. What do you want to say to that person?
Yeah, so I think that we've all been sold on a lie, that there's just not a way to get rid of some of your pain conditions without narcotics or alcohol or other unsafe things that Jeff's talking about. But there are now so many procedures that you can turn to that when I say procedures, I'm not calling them surgeries on purpose, because they're small little incisions or small pokes that are going to give you a chance for, maybe 30, 40-minute procedure with a mild amount of sedation to get you back to the life you expected and want to be, living at. And so one thing that happens is we have this kind of cascade of negative effects. And what I want to tell you is that it's not too late. If you feel like you're kind of slipping, maybe the COVID hit you hard and you lost your job or your insurance, or maybe you lost your regimen that you do when you're working out and you gained a few pounds, maybe you've herniated a disc, or maybe you have a new problem you're dealing with, I'd like to have a chance to look at you in the office and maybe give you some hope. And so really what I try to do is not fill people full of ideas that are unrealistic, but rather offer you some hope that maybe your condition can be treated with a few-minute procedure rather than me just writing a prescription. In fact, if I'm honest, Jeff, I don't even want to write prescriptions anymore. And I think most pain doctors will tell you that we know that there are problems with that. Now, there are some people that have got a condition that they've tried everything. They've had all the surgeries in the world. They literally have no other option but to have medication. But that's a smaller subset than we've given the meds to in the past. And so really what the new generation of pain doctors, this upper echelon that we're trying to create, we're trying to treat people with our hands and not our prescription pads. So I think that's what I'd want the people to know is please give us a call or call one of the local pain docs in your area and give them a chance to see if there isn't something that's new and cutting edge that could give you a lot of relief.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for spreading the good news. We're going to put your website up in the segment. It's noblepainandsports.com. Dr. Chad Stevens, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Jeff. I really enjoyed it.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.